Well, Vegeta, it seems you and your Saiyan brethren have been doing quite well lately. But don't worry, I'll keep all the space cash for myself, please. Hey guys, DB right here, and do excuse my voice and the occasional coughing. I am still getting over a bit of a cold I caught during a week-long camping trip. One of the reasons I haven't posted in the last month, and I've also been trying to work on more webcomic content and doing more work to my website, db-ryportal.com. Anyway, soon to be a website where everything DBY will be in the one place. Webcomics, what ifs, everything else I do. Anyways, so with that, let's get on with today's what if, continuing the one I just started a month ago. What if Vegeta became friends with Raditz? What if Vegeta could see Raditz for the potential he actually had, not just as a Saiyan warrior, but as a killer. Now, as we know, Vegeta and Nappa always scolded Raditz for his weaklingness, his sense to think things through, his cowardice, his cautiousness, his tendency to outsmart his opponent rather than brutally just beating them and getting stronger and overpowering them somehow, some way. Because that's how Nappa and Vegeta are. However, this time around, Vegeta has sort of come to the realization that it's that kind of Saiyan thinking that has kind of led the Saiyans to their own destruction. At least, as far as their own arrogance was concerned. I mean, his whole race wiped out by an asteroid? Come on, if the Saiyans couldn't stop that, that just proves how arrogant those apes were. And Vegeta has more or less learnt that lesson this time. Now, where we officially continue this part of the story is we're now heading into the adulthood of Vegeta and Raditz. After all, they're roughly the same age. And more or less, thanks to Vegeta actually being impressed in this timeline with how Raditz deals with enemies stronger than he is, Vegeta couldn't help but be impressed and actually award Raditz by actually giving him sparring sessions and helping to train him up. And not only that, this more or less gives the trio of evil Saiyans a bit more of a camaraderie relationship, much like Bardock and his crew, which, to be frank, that's where Raditz picked up most of that behavior. Outsmarting your opponent, working as a team, using strategy to bring down enemies you couldn't on your own. That all came from Raditz watching his father, his cautiousness and sense to think things through. Comes from his mother when Gine would tell Raditz to Just be careful and come back alive. Oh, yes. And their hard work, the Saiyans' hard work, has indeed been noticed by Frieza. Now, in a good way, in terms of the Saiyans are still useful enough to keep alive, but not in that Frieza has any more respect for him or anything like that. Oh no, not at all. He's simply giving them these so-called rewards in order to better manipulate them. Since they're actually working together like a unit, Frieza is treating them like a unit. As they succeed and able to do jobs that his elite won't even touch, oh yes, they are very much like Bardock's old crew. That's a lot of space cash saved. And yes, they still get paid a lot less than Frieza's men. But they are getting paid more than what I imagine they were paid in the original timeline. In fact, I think they all left to pretty much scurry for food on their own and sleeping on the very worlds they conquered. Yeah, I don't think Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz had a very comforting lifestyle working for Frieza in the original, but at least in this one, they do have some sense of comfort. And this motivates them to work harder. And this does mean that Raditz is, in fact, stronger in this timeline. In fact, he's starting to close the bridge between himself and Nappa. He's about 2,500 now, something like that. So, it makes you wonder how things are going to go when he goes to Earth. And well, we're actually up to that part in the timeline now. Despite Vegeta and Nappa, their power levels are roughly the same as what they are in the original. Just due to the fact they're not getting as much out of this as what Raditz is. Because they're, quite a bit stronger than he is. It only makes sense. And so, that mission they wanted to take on, but it might be a little bit too hard with just the three of them, Raditz, of course, remembers Kakarot. And just like in the original, he is on his way to planet Earth. Now, will Raditz be able to convince Kakarot to join him? Now, well, let's just say that when he arrives on Earth, that most of part one of his visit pretty much plays out the same. He scares the heck out of Piccolo, shows up on Roshi's Island, kicks Goku in the stomach, throws Krillin through Kame House, and he's, kidnaps Gohan. That whole thing. Exactly the same. But then, we actually get to the fight. Now, this is a cakewalk for Raditz. But Raditz can't help but be impressed that these guys, Piccolo and Kakarot, despite having such weaker power levels, they are actually standing up to him, knowing full well they're going to get creamed. Now, the fight is particularly different. Raditz is dominating, but so far he's not doing anything to really hurt his brother or Piccolo. He's just having a bit of fun with it. After all, being on such a planet with low-level gravity, it's actually quite impressed that Kakarot got as strong as he did, considering the resources of this planet. That's our planet, Ryan. How dare you insult it? Bam! Alright, so Raditz is pretty much making sport of the whole thing. And he's not really showing much interest in really killing his brother, or Piccolo, or even really taking the kid. Even when Gohan does eventually burst out of the ship and charges Raditz with everything he's got, Gohan still gets a bit of a hit on his uncle, and does manage to crack his armor, but it hasn't weakened him. But Raditz can't help but be surprised by that level of power. And not only that, the Kamehameha, how Goku and Piccolo are able to raise their energies like that, how they seem to be able to sense wherever Raditz is being, no matter where Raditz is, regardless of how quick he's moving. These are techniques that Nappa and Vegeta, Raditz himself, do not have and have no experience with. From Goku to shoot up from 330 to 1000 in a Kamehameha blast. And of course we've seen what the special beam kind of could do. Raditz actually comes to a decision. He decides that the way Kakarot is right now, he is of no use to the Frieza Force. He's of no use to Vegeta or Nappa, but someday he might be. So, he actually releases Gohan. Well, I did say Gohan blew up the ship earlier. He's unconscious after using his power, but the point is, Raditz releases him, and, well, he flies off, and, well, after what Gohan did to his space pod, yeah, Raditz is pretty much stuck. And for, at least, a few glorifying moments, we get a classic Nappa and Vegeta scolding of Raditz that he was careless enough to let that happen. This was the first mistake Raditz had ever made. This was his first official mistake, and a big one. Oh, great. So now we're a glorified taxi service. We're gonna have to pick your ass up. Is that so, Raditz? We ought to leave you on Earth with your weakling of a brother, Kakarot. But however, Vegeta is kind of curious about these Earthling warriors as well. This ability to raise their abilities, raise their power level, being able to sense without a scouter? Oh yes. Vegeta and Nappa would very much like to adapt that into their arsenal. So, there is a reason for Nappa and Vegeta to go to Earth and pick a fight like they do in the original. Except, no one's after Dragon Balls yet. And so, Nappa and Vegeta are on their way, and Raditz pretty much is smirking, and he sort of thinks back on Kakarot and Piccolo, Goku and Piccolo, thinking, if you guys thought I was tough, wait till you meet those two. And well, just like in the original, and with Goku being alive in this timeline, they are warned by Kami that 2 more Saiyans are on the way, both of which stronger than Raditz, who's also still alive. So, we're going to have all 3 Saiyans squaring off against the Dragon Team in the next part. And well, with Goku in the weakened condition he's in, he takes Gohan and begins his training. At your stake, Goku, it's not like you can do anything about it. Don't worry. I'll take good care of your pampered brat here. Just make sure you don't disappoint us. And before Goku could say anything against it, suddenly he disappears. Kami has made a little arrangement with King Yama that would allow Goku to take the journey of Snake Way and receive training from King Kai. And with Goku's service record, yeah, King Yama can't really refuse it. And I think, at least for now, this is where we're going to leave things for right now. So, what do you guys think? Will Vegeta and Nappa be out to kill everybody on Earth like originally? Or are they just simply here to try figure out how to sense energy and hide their power levels? After all, very useful tricks, and can be of use to them at some point down the line. Or will they simply do away with everyone and conquer the Earth in the name of Frieza before taking on their next job? All this and more next time as we continue. What if Vegeta became friends with Raditz?